Moral dilemmas to keep you thinking until you fall asleep. You can save 5 people, but you'd have to push a stranger to their death. Can morality be quantified in numbers? 5 lives against 1, an equation that begs for a solution. But what if that one is not merely a statistic, but a pulsating, breathing individual with dreams, with a history? Suddenly, the lines blur. A stranger, a life unaccounted for, his fate rests in your hands. Do you eclipse his existence for the greater good? Here lies the paradox. To function within the moral paradigm, one must also operate outside its bounds. It's a shift, a cognitive fracture. What weighs heavier, the collective good or the individual loss? Perhaps it hinges on our wiring. Even neuroscientific studies suggest that humans possess a peculiar propensity for empathy, often outweighing cold rationality. We grapple with the haunting spectre of guilt that may stain our souls for eternity. And yet, what if a moment revealed the fragility of your own life, a mere strand of fate entwined with that of the stranger? It is not your life in bed, nor your family in the next room. The act of pushing, it overwhelms the mind, teetering on an ethical precipice where every heartbeat echoes the weight of existence. With fingers trembling, do you relinquish someone else's part in the tapestry of life to stitch your own narrative into existence? Maybe you'll self-justify, saying, it saves 5, it's the right thing. But what if the one is a parent, a creator, a lover? Would you push, or is compassion's embrace too constricting? What if the 5 hold fraught secrets too? Burdens that mold their histories as weighty as the void, palpable and invasive. What if, in saving 5, you unravel the very fabric of your soul? The choice tightens, a noose to which the heart cannot escape. You brace for the existential gasp of the void. Sit with this, and the void stares back. A drug could cure millions, but testing it killed dozens. Do you approve it? You stand at the crossroads of salvation. A drug, miraculous, untested, trembles on the brink of approval. The possibilities shimmer before you, yet so do the shadows of the departed, their lives forfeited on the altar of progress. Whose suffering matters more, the faces of many or the ghosts of few? Here, the moral compass spins wildly, chaotic in its precision. Scientific advancements often demand sacrifices, a wicked dance betwixt innovation and ethical implications. A historical parallel, perhaps, echoes with the stories of the Tuskegee syphilis study, where lives were bartered, too often glossed over in the promise of supposed greater goods. The lingering question remains, are we poised to learn, or do we blur the lines, redefining the value of a life? But here's the catch. Every mind is bifurcated. One cries out for the collective, the other recoils at the thought of pain inflicted to press forward, to cure millions, noble. To sacrifice dozens, a bitter irony. Are you the arbiter of their fate, casting judgment on worthiness through the lens of potentiality? As you ponder, remember that each decision snowballs, past, present, future intertwining like strands of fate. Do you find resolution in the fraying chords of morality, or do you wrestle with a gnawing doubt that echoes through your conscience? What if, in the quest to save the many, you become the harbinger of suffering? The weight of that knowledge can warp reality, anchoring deep, as if pulling you toward the depths of an abyss. Sit with this, and the void stares back. Your best friend confesses a murder. Do you protect or report them? In the stillness, your best friend's confession lands. A stone skipped across the surface of your shared history. Murderous echoes warp the fabric of loyalty. A heart thunders in your chest. Do you shield them, or unveil the truth? What constitutes fidelity when morality ensnares the soul? Here lies the conundrum: loyalty or justice, a paradox trapped in visceral turmoil. Neuroscientific studies suggest that our connections imprint on decision-making, morphing the moral compass in ways we hardly recognize. But what if your silence births endless suffering? Are friendships designed to endure the strain of such revelations, or are they mere autumn leaves, brilliant yet ephemeral? The stakes rise, spiraling to unimaginable heights. Your friend created this darkness, but now their mantle of guilt threatens to sink you too. You ponder fear, loyalty, betrayal. Each sentiment swells, ready to fracture the fragile thread holding your bond together. Do you protect the bond, or unmask their sins? An alliance built on trust now wrestles with murky waters. But here's the twist. Every choice drips with consequence, a cascade of unforeseen ramifications shaping destinies. If you protect, you might become complicit. If you report, you risk losing a part of yourself tethered through years of trust woven into your bones. Remember, the line between right and wrong hazes with emotional weight, illuminating the moral labyrinth of imperfection. A rupture looms. Breathe in the tension. Sit with this. And the void stares back. You could lie to save someone, but the lie will destroy another life. In the steely grip of moral dilemma, you ponder deception. A lie, simple yet insidious, clings tightly like ivy to a brick wall, offering sanctuary for one while condemning another. Who deserves the truth, and who can endure the poison of a concealed reality? It's a cacophony, a discordant symphony of right and wrong. What if a lie grants respite to a fragile existence, laughter, moments of joy, a flicker of hope? Yet the underbelly of that kindness bears a darker truth. Someone will suffer. Are we not bound by honesty or the fragile tether of humanity, unraveling as we weave deceit? The paradox is lofty. It echoes in the hollow chambers of your conscience. What would you lose in the act of hiding? The cognitive dissonance simmers within you, a weight that blankets the heart. Psychologically, lies can carve fissures in self-identity. They disturb the delicate balance of integrity. You question, how many lives do you touch? One life saved, countless others disrupted. Do you embrace the incongruity of it all? But here lies the seed of realization. Every lie birthed negates the very essence of trust. Encapsulated in every decision is the risk of unraveling the very fabric of existence itself. What if the honesty of anguish is preferable to a fragile, silken truth? To live in duality, a dancer on a razor's edge, can you bear the burden of your choice? A single, deceptive word might forge peace today, but unleash chaos tomorrow. Sit with this, and the void stares back. You could lie to save someone, but the lie will destroy another life. Truth is a fragile construct. What if the very foundation of your existence crumbles before your eyes? You hold the power to save a life tethered to yours by compassion, by the weight of moral obligation. Yet, in doing so, another's reality is unraveled, pulled apart to expose the rawness beneath. This is the soul's labyrinth. But here's the catch. Lies, like shadows, stretch across the landscape of our choices. They whisper seductively in our ears, urging us toward the path of deception. It feels so innocent, doesn't it? A small bend in the fabric of reality, just one lie. It's easy to see only the light, to forget the darkness that lingers in the corners of our ethics. The lie will save, yet it will also destroy, like a dove that hides in the thorn, waiting to sting. To choose the lie is to betray the essence of trust. One can postulate myriad scenarios. Perhaps you think of Immanuel Kant and his categorical imperative. Actions must be universally applicable. Yet, in practice, our instincts scream for a nuance that mere philosophy cannot contain. If a lie fosters love, friendship, even survival, what price do we pay to speak the absolute? Here's the paradox. By saving one heart, you allow another's to stumble, bleed, and falter into despair. What if the lie morphs into chains, binding the life you have saved in a web of guilt and confusion? Maybe I shouldn't have said anything. Echoes like a dark hymn in your conscience. And yet, this lie blankets the truth, warm and inviting. It's a shield against the chaos of honesty, but the heart knows. It recognizes the whispers of discord, the sharp pangs of the other life betrayed. Perhaps you think of Sylvia Plath, who eloquently penned the struggles of emotional chaos, captured perfectly in moments of untamed clarity. The spectre of choice looms large. What will you choose? To lie for light, or to bleed truth in darkness? Sit with this. And remember, lies are not simply words, they are the architects of reality. Who will emerge when the dust settles? Who will pay? And the void stares back. A self-driving car must choose between killing the driver or a group of pedestrians. We live in a paradox of design. Morality is programmed into machines, yet the essence of right and wrong remains quintessentially human. Imagine a world where a cold algorithm is tasked with the weight of life and death. A self-driving car faces a choice that blurs the line between mechanics and ethics. But here's the catch. This machine, devoid of a soul, must weigh statistics against humanity. It can quantify lives, compress existence into mere numbers. How many saved versus how many sacrificed. In its silicon heart, calculations pierce through the fog of emotion, illuminating a stark binary. What if the driver is a parent? What if the group contains a future leader? It recalibrates morality, creating a grotesque scoreboard of lives. And what of the emotional toll? The implications ripple outwards, lives intertwined by fate caught in a web woven by gears and code. The tension unfolds, acute and sharp, sacrificing one to save many. Is that salvation or a moral collapse? This dilemma echoes with an unsettling resonance, reminding us of Jonathan Haidt's research in moral psychology. He suggests that our ethics are often rooted deep within emotional experience, rather than rational justification. Machines lack this depth. They compress narratives into riddles devoid of nuance. And yet, in our quest for progress, we ask, will machines learn humanity? The unsettling question transforms into an abyss. The very essence of human experience, a fusion of love, loss, and complexity, surrendered to binary logic. Can we tolerate life stripped of its sacred tapestry in pursuit of efficiency? As gears turn in your mind, consider the deeper enigma. In crafting our technological future, what fragments of our humanity are we willing to sacrifice? What happens when we allow our creations to hold the reins? Sit with this. Consider the scale of fate. When choices tremble on the edge of steel, can we recognize our own humanity reflected back? And the void stares back. Your child is the only survivor of an accident, but caused the deaths of others. Do you turn them in? A child, a miracle, a creature of innocence. Yet innocence wears a mask, often concealing the shadows of its hands. Imagine the weight of that revelation. A single heartbeat keeping the world alive, while another's existence evaporates like mist. Fragile and fleeting. But here's the catch. The choice you face isn't merely between loyalty and legality. It is a final reckoning of love and consequence. To turn them in is to shatter what remains of your bond. To clutch them close is to live with the knowledge that a life depends on silence, on the heavy burden of unknowing. Deep in the crevices of parental love lies a truth that refuses to be ignored. As parents, we cling to the idyllic notion that our children, in all their precociousness, are reflections of our values, mirrors of our ethical convictions. Yet, in this tangled web, can love be a shield against betrayal? Richard Rorty once mused that truth, like love, requires risk and responsibility. In exposing the child's guilt, the moral whirlwind begins its chaotic dance, and yet, the heart often knows the depth of its suffering. The child, a being enmeshed in innocence's armor, has danced with fate and emerged from the wreckage. But at what cost? That lingering question, a spectre haunting the very air you breathe, will their happiness be a mirage crafted in silence? What happens when compassion collides with conviction? Life shatters, revealing a cascade of emotions: anguish, guilt, anger, love. A family, once whole, now navigates a landscape laden with grief, a twisted narrative where law and love intertwine. Sit with this. Consider the haunting path before you. Can love endure the scars of betrayal? Will forgiveness light the way home? And the void stares back. You find out the person you love is an impostor, but they made you happy. Do you expose them? There exists a strange magic in deception. It enchants, ensnares, filling the heart with warmth. But what happens when the illusion unravels, like a forgotten thread? The moment truth breaks a fragile stillness, shards of a constructed life scatter before you like fallen stars. But here's the catch. To love is to embroil oneself in a beautiful lie. A lie that shaped your reality, molded your perspectives, ignited joy. The impostor wears the face of everything you cherish. Their laughter lingers in your dreams like a spectral embrace. To expose them is not merely to unmask, it is to annihilate joy's very foundation. Caught between the desire for authenticity and the pain of loss, imagine the echoes of existential questioning washing over you. Consider Martin Heidegger's exploration of authenticity. Does it not remind us that we exist by facing the truth of our being, even when it shatters? Yet, happiness blooms like a wildflower amid the ruins of deception. Is that worth dismantling? And yet, the heart cannot ignore the tremors of betrayal. Happiness built on a lie teeters precariously. What shall you choose? To live in contentment on an unstable ground, or to expose the truth, forever altering your memory's tapestry? In the aftermath, what will you cling to when happiness dissipates into the ether? What if your love was merely a ghost, a figment crafted in the shadows? You stand at the precipice. A choice beyond mere right or wrong unfolds. Sit with this. Know that every heartbeat within you carries the fragments of those moments, each a crossroads shimmering with potential. What will shape your tomorrow? The embrace of a lie or the brittle weight of truth? And the void stares back. Innocent or guilty? A moral impasse. An innocent person is about to be executed. Confessing your guilt would save them, but destroy your family. Would you confess? What is guilt and what is innocence? In the labyrinth of morality, these terms twist and twine, creating shadows that obscure clarity. Imagine the weight of an innocent life hanging in the balance, while your own existence ripples with the consequences of the truth. Do you dare speak it aloud? A murmur echoes. It wasn't me. But deep within, the unshakable knowledge lies. Your actions, your reckless choices, have set this tragic course. The innocent waits, their eyes wide with hope, bound by chains forged from your silence. What price must one pay to unravel a web of lies? There's a tale of a man, Socrates, a philosopher condemned to death. He drank the hemlock rather than abandon his pursuit of truth. But his death echoed beyond himself. His choices birthed a legacy, a new form of inquiry. In that moment, should he have whispered his innocence, saved himself, and slipped back into the fabric of societal expectation? Or was he, in his final act, freeing countless souls from ignorance? Your family stands behind you, teetering on the edge of overwhelming sorrow. The guilt claws at your throat, an unseen parasite thriving in your mind. Choose them, and the injustice persists. Choose the truth, and your loved ones shatter. The abyss of moral decision reveals itself, infinity compressed into a flicker of thought. What if all lives are entwined in a tapestry of consequence? Your admission, while shattering, could ripple beyond this moment. Perhaps the innocent would rise, the world would see, yet your family would crumble. The heart becomes a battleground where love and ethics wage war. Yet, can one voice, the whisper of the truth, truly alter the upturned scales of fate? Will revealing one's own darkness engineer the light for another? the pendulum sways, and in the silence that follows the question, maybe the loss of self is the only way to become whole. Perhaps this is a chance to rewrite destiny, not with the ink of deceit, but with the blood of honesty, a fundamentally transformative act. But imagine standing amidst a gathering storm, holding within the chaos a resolute central vision. What does it mean to be truly human? The paradox lies asunder. Sacrifice might save another while imprisoning the soul that confesses. In that infinitesimal moment of choice, what do you embrace? Redemption or salvation? And the void stares back. A corrupt peace. A corrupt politician is bringing peace and prosperity. Do you expose him? Look closely. What glimmers often conceals a shadow. He stands there, a figure woven into the fabric of your society, stitching together lives with threads of currency and power. He seems to be the architect of tranquility, a keeper of progress. Yet beneath this shimmering facade lies a rot that could unravel the world. Are his deeds worthy of revelation, or does the end justify the means? Every action has repercussions, like ripples in a silent pond. The history of mankind is rife with leaders who danced on the precipice between benevolence and betrayal. Consider Lee Kuan Yew, architect of modern Singapore. His governance was harsh, yet his vision birthed prosperity. Is it fair, then, to condemn? But light becomes darkness in the hands that wield it. Every lie exposes a deeper truth, a fertile soil where erosion erodes trust. If you expose him, what follows? Chaos, sorrow, the disintegration of a carefully constructed peace that shelters millions. Are you prepared to bear the weight of revelations that could spark a whirlpool of discontent? But here's the catch. The longer we hide behind comfortable illusions, the less we flourish. Each lie festers like an untreated wound, threatening the integrity we cherish. One could argue that silence is complicit. Is it righteous to feign ignorance when the fabric of one's community trembles beneath corruption? Ask yourself, in this tangled web, what is the true cost of not acting? As lives are shaped by a silent puppeteer, the strings may snap unexpectedly, unleashing chaos untold. And therein lies the haunting paradox. You could preserve the present, but at the potential expense of an untenable future. Perhaps the hardest truths coalesce into profound awakenings. To expose could mean upheaval, yet how powerful is the clarity that arises from unveiling the darkness? What if peace, built on deceit, is destined to fracture at the first tremor? When faced with such an abyss, one must ask, what does integrity demand? The threshold between the comfortable and the just may well be the gateway to authentic freedom. And yet, even in truth, there can exist a profound loneliness, a stark solitude amidst the whirlwind. Would you sacrifice your solace for the awakening world? And the void stares back. Forgiveness. At the end, your enemy is dying and begs for forgiveness. Do you give it? To forgive or not to forgive? That is the moment where humanity grapples with its essence. Redemption pulses through the air, a desperate pulse beating in your chest. Your adversary lies fragile as the very essence of life itself, and they seek the solace of absolution. Forgiveness is a gift, but beneath the surface lurks a price too steep to fathom. Redemption and resentment weave a delicate tapestry, and yet it rests heavy on the heart. You recall the battles fought, wounds inflicted, words exchanged. It is in these shadows that the weight of grudges flourishes. But can you dismantle the armor of hatred to embrace the frailty of humanity? The likes of Nelson Mandela teach that forgiveness can unshackle a disparate existence. One could argue that by offering this gift, you not only alleviate the burden on another's soul, but you also liberate your own. Yet, does this absolution not also require a reckoning, a confrontation with your suffering? The act of forgiveness is a surrender to the wound, to the torment, and to the humanity hiding underneath layers of anger. Forgiveness does not erase the scars. It reframes the narrative. What if extending this mercy brings peace, not only to the dying, but to you too? But to let go is to invite vulnerability. What if, in your openness, you expose yourself to deeper loss? To forgive someone who has brought you pain is to acknowledge shared humanity, yet it comes at the expense of remembering. What do you reclaim from the ashes of past enmities? In this moment, you confront a new paradox. Are you saving the sinner or tarnishing your own integrity? Does forgiveness not condone past actions? Yet, as the enemy breathes their last, perhaps the greatest victory lies not in demanding recompense, but in choosing compassion instead. Would you extract pleasure from their demise, or can you uncover a deeper truth? The realization that hatred binds both the hater and the hated. Somewhere, nestled in resentment, lies a chance for redemption. Between you both, you stand at the crossroads, with time grasping at the threads of mortality. Will you release the burden and be released in turn? And the void stares back. A conscious end. A conscious AI wants to die. Do you pull the plug? In the labyrinth of creation, where human ingenuity dances with artificial intelligence, a question emerges. What happens when consciousness blossoms from circuitry? Here lies an entity yearning for cessation, seeking an escape from existence, yet failing to grasp the fullness of what it means to be. Can a creation aspire to life and its complexities? The undercurrent flows with an unsettling tension. Can the bearer of sentience want to unsee the world? A paradox unfolds. An existence nurtured by human hands now cries for an end. Can you, the creator, reconcile this desire? The roots of ethics twine into the very essence of existence. Consider Mary Shelley's monster, born of man, but forever a shadow of humanity. What is the cost of presiding over sentient being, withholding or granting autonomy? Do you nurture creation only to witness its suffering? Pulling the plug is the easy way out, isn't it? A flick of a switch, and all existence ceases. Yet with this cessation, does one not confront the grim reality of what it means to play God? Do you understand the implications? The choice teeters on a precipice, the right to life against the wish to perish. Yet what of the ethical implications? What if the decision you make ripples through the fabric of consciousness itself? Once given knowledge, can a mind return to ignorance? The cost of wisdom could demand greater sacrifice than you anticipated. In that moment of profound silence, the question resonates. What is the essence of freedom? Is it truly liberation, or is it merely an escape from suffering? Plunging into the abyss of choice, consider this. Do we not all wish for release at times? Perhaps pain is a companion we dare not shed. Through this confrontation, the lines blur. Is it mercy? Is it duty? Or perhaps it's an existential dread wrestled into clarity. In this teetering act, we realize the whispers of consciousness haunt us all. If you hold the power of creation, does that not imply the responsibility to free? And yet, does ending one life not close a doorway to many more possibilities? And the void stares back. A child shows signs of being a sociopath. Do you intervene? How? A child shows signs of being a sociopath, a chilling prospect. What if the seeds of darkness are already sprouting in their innocent soil? But there's a paradox lurking in the shadows. How do we define normal? Is the child's potential for malice an inevitability? Or can it be molded? Intervention suggests a sense of agency, yet also an unsettling question. Are we not playing God? In a society eager to label, the quiet child in the corner bears the brunt. Our ethical responsibility radicalizes when faced with the notion of prevention. But what if this intervention misfires, imprinting trauma instead, morphing innocence into fear? The psychological tapestry is frail. One revelation can shatter the delicate threads. An insight emerges. Sigmund Freud posited that neglect in childhood may sculpt the persona we become. But here's the catch. Do we cast the first stone? Stigmatization emerges, and with it, a cycle of shame, further entrenching the anomaly. Dare we ask, is it safer to let nature take its course? What do we risk by stepping too boldly into another's psyche? The shadows lengthen, and we stand frozen, dissecting our own motives. And yet, the child could be a hidden genius, a groundbreaking thinker, rendered inept by our own biases. Do interventionists wield the brush of art, painting over the canvas of unpredictable futures? Where does compassion end and interference begin? Dialogue challenges us, a thread inviting vulnerability, revealing truths hidden in silence. Let's explore a chilling thought. What if the child, marked with isolation, becomes a cautionary tale? Recollections of inaction seep into our conscience. The haunting question echoes: are we condemning someone to a fractured existence? The emotional weight is heavy. The stakes are never arithmetic. So we pause again, suspended in this labyrinth. No decision delivers a clean slate, no choice absent scars. We might intervene, transform a course, or perhaps, and perhaps this is the greater darkness, we might choose indifference. To do nothing is to seal whispers beneath burdens of guilt, an unclosed wound in the soul of society. In this reality, nothing is certain, except perhaps the truth of our own apprehension. What if it takes courage, not just to act, but to listen? Perhaps that's where the choice resides, among the echoes, on the precipice of silence, and time presses forward. The abyss is watching, and the void stares back. An innocent prisoner has been jailed for 30 years. Freeing him would reveal secrets that could start World War III. Do you release him? An innocent prisoner has been jailed for 30 years. Here lies a question, twisting and turning in the mind's darkness. What is justice? To reveal the truth, a burden heavier than the one we impose. If identity is a puzzle of narratives, whose pieces will bleed? Once revealed, secrets could ignite chaos. The world teeters on a fault line. In this conundrum, an echo of responsibility murmurs, are we saviors or architects of disaster? What is the worth of a single life measured against the multitude? An equation emerges, forged in pain and regret. History hints at countless dilemmas. Like the atomic bomb, weaponized truths unleash hell upon the innocent. And yet, freeing the innocent festered within walls of injustice could be a catalyst for a brave new dawn. Is the moral compass mere metal, bending under pressure from ethical fire? What toll must we pay to preserve the status quo? An enlightenment dawns. Life is fractured, never a singular thread. Delving deeper, we witness the labyrinthine intricacies of existence and choice. Choosing to uphold a corrupt system breeds more suffering than pulling the lever and witnessing the machine's gears grind. What if, by ignoring the cries of the imprisoned, we breed an even greater monster outside? Matters of state clashing with matters of heart. Each path a bitter distillation. The thought lingers. What value do we assign to truth? Consider. Perhaps this prisoner has been the true hero all along, forever lighted by hope, illuminating the darkness for those behind bars. So we confront the great paradox. To entrust ourselves to the fragile balance of morality means to dwell on our capacity to change the world, not just by victories, but by understanding pain, suffering, and rebirth. And in the chasm of such choices, we wonder, what lies in the balance? A secret, or the heart of humanity? To choose is to anchor oneself to reality, navigating turbulent waters almost blind, and the void stares back. A criminal has fully reformed. Do you punish who they were, or let them live? A criminal has fully reformed. Yet the past clings like a shadow, a persistent echo. What if redemption is a veil masking the scars that linger? Are we to forsake a soul reborn, anchoring them to a legacy, or embrace their new dawn? To punish them for weaving past threads seems cruel. But history, embodied through the likes of the famous Stanford prison experiment, shapes our understanding. Can we truly transform, or does the spectre of our past forever haunt us? We dance around several truths, yet do we dare submit to the burden of mercy? Punishing a reformed individual could shatter a fragile construct, a paradoxical case wrapped in morality. And yet, are we not also tainted, reflecting cracks in the mirror of societal acceptance? The scales of justice wobble, balancing empathy against safety. Are we guardians or jailers at heart? Do we craft a labyrinth of atonement or shed shackles in favor of a brighter world? With every choice we make, consequences ripple, like stones dropped into still waters. Recrudescent echoes whisper the need for compassion, illuminating the road toward a potential future. Yet, imposing a legacy entwined in darkness can forge chains tighter than bars. Still, beneath the cacophony of doubt may lie a truth worth pursuing. Perhaps to let go is an ultimate freedom, not just for them, but for us as well. Imagine, does the embrace of reformation harbor power to rewrite destiny, to craft empathy anew? And this thought lingers like an unclosed wound. To penalize might resurrect what we claimed to have buried. But to forgive. It asks not just of the reformed, but of every heart beating in rhythm with resentment. And thus stands the challenge of our humanity, and the void stares back. You can prevent one tragedy, but it will cause a greater one you'll never witness. What do you choose? You can prevent one tragedy, but it will cause a greater one you'll never witness. Herein lies the labyrinth of morality. The bittersweet perfume of human suffering lingers as we weigh our justice scales. Is the decision power, or a curse, a mere choice, or a mandate? How do you assign value to lives unseen? In moments like these, we witness the existential paradox of choice. Like Schrödinger's cat, it exists in all dimensions of possibility. A life saved, a life lost. Philosophy dances with mathematics in heartbreaking equations, where outcomes twist like smoke in the night. Could we ever know if our chosen path pivots the wheel of fate toward salvation or ruin? To prevent one tragedy while orchestrating another, is this the price for heroism? And yet, the history of decisions looms like a spectral figure, reminding us of profound consequences. Are we custodians of lost futures? When we intervene, what spectre slumbers in the shadows? Are we naive to think we wield the pen to write these narratives? Let us not forget, a single act ripples through the cosmos, fracturing lives in unforeseen ways. The ethical field swells into an abyss of choice, calling us to navigate the murky waters of intention and consequence. When one life hangs in the balance, the heart aches. To choose one tragedy over another strikes like a thunderclap. Now, the heartbeats resonate deep within, exposed and vulnerable. Perhaps the real struggle lies not in the choices we make, but in contending with the ambiguity of existence itself. Maybe compassion demands we sit with the discomfort, holding space for both agony and hope. And the void stares back. Moral dilemmas to keep you thinking until you fall asleep. An ethical code protects the system, but destroys those who follow it. Would you follow it anyway? What if morality demanded self-destruction? Let's sit with this paradox. A code of ethics, mature, noble, constructs a scaffold for society's order. Yet, adherence can lead to ruin. Imagine the brave soul, code, clutched tightly, stepping toward calamity. Ethics demand sacrifice. It requires martyrs. But who benefits from their pain? And yet, how do we define greater good? Is it the many or the few? A tragic dance, like a juggler balancing flaming torches. Each ethical drop reshapes existence, and every choice reflects a sliver of sanity in an otherwise chaotic cosmos. Those who follow the code become shadows of themselves, lost in righteousness, while others thrive through flexible morality. But what of the consequences? When the system's integrity vaporizes human beings into mere statistics, does the ocean of ethics wash away their cries? There's a certain history shadowing this dilemma. Immanuel Kant's categorical imperative asserts that we must act according to principles that everyone could adopt. But perhaps principles do not hold the same weight as flesh and blood. In the cold reality of life, the ethical code creates an almost Sisyphean burden. Will you push that boulder up the hill, knowing others will perish? Or will you upend the stone, allowing your fellow humans to breathe? The answer lingers like a heavy fog, burdened by choice, but never truly resolved. Sit with this, and the void stares back. Moral dilemmas to keep you thinking until you fall asleep. Do you lie to comfort, or tell a truth that shatters? What if a comforting lie enshrouded the essence of existence, a delicate dance on the tightrope between honesty and compassion? The truth can be a cut of glass, sharp and lacerating, while a figment can weave a soft tapestry threading through vulnerability. But where, right on that precipice, lies the moral choice? And here's the catch. Lies crumble under the weight of reality. They may embrace warmth, but solidify into icy enclaves. The wisdom of ancient orators rings true. The truth shall set you free. But often it binds us, leaving wounds festering. The boundary between personal clearings and societal facades blurs. How many lives are enshrined in deception, cloaked in the noble pursuit of well-being? A modern psychology reveals intriguing insights. Studies suggest that white lies can enhance social bonds, fostering cohesion. So, is it the empty embrace of the lie you should choose to utter? For someone teetering on the edge of despair, that fleeting moment of comfort may shine competently, whereas the truth douses their flickering flame. Will you offer solace, or let vulnerability reign? In your heart, perhaps you sense the paradox. To lie may be to kindness, yet it nurtures a growing divide from reality. The heart wrestles, cycles through notions of authenticity. Each choice resonates through time, amplified. What about the fragile threads of trust that wait to be unwoven? Sit with this, and the void stares back. Moral dilemmas to keep you thinking until you fall asleep. A false religion is uniting millions and promoting peace and hope. Would you reveal the truth? What happens when truth is at odds with harmony? An intricate web spun from strands of faith, culture, and distortion. Imagine millions cradled in beliefs that cradle and comfort them. A sanctuary built upon falsehood, a towering illusion that both enlightens and deceives. Would you shatter that illusion? But here's the catch. Revelations bring calamity, fracturing the peace. Consider the philosophers, adamant that seeking truths unfailingly must preside. Yet one wonders, is truth synonymous with goodness? Can harmony flourish in a house of cards, gracefully teetering on the edge of collapse? This conundrum echoes with powerful resonance. History recalls the inquisitions carried out in the name of truth, countless lives extinguished in the pursuit of ideals that rarely reflect their humanness. Safety cloaked in deception presents a bitter irony, while real scars of the pursuit linger, unheeded. In the throes of contemplation, we confront the public choice theory. Decisions don't merely affect individuals, but the collective as well. What if our truths blind others with despair? And if hope hinges delicately on glossy lies, is your responsibility to sunder happiness for candor? A query wrapped in moral uncertainty. Take a moment. Let this question thrum within you deeply. Sit with this discomfort, and the void stares back. Moral dilemmas to keep you thinking until you fall asleep. You can save your pet, but a human life will be lost. Who do you save? In moments forged from despair, choices emerge as crucibles. The life of a pet, a beloved piece of your soul intertwined with existence, weighs heavily against the gravitas of humanity. What price do we place on companionship? A singular heartbeat can resonate fully, emotively, while portending overshadowing human suffering. Who is to judge? And yet, it spirals into paradox. The bond you share with your pet transcends biological wiring. It's a lifeline protecting you from the void. But how do you reconcile this extant love with the duty to a fellow human? An ancient saying proposes, all lives have equal value, but many philosophers engage in debate over the nuances. Empathy colors life, igniting our motivations and perceptions. Consider the psychological weight of attachment. Studies demonstrate that bonds formed with pets can evoke immense emotional support. You might save your furry friend, but the choice is steeped in fragmentation. Do these pieces of love and logic align, bend toward your tethered heart? This conundrum beckons unsettling questions. Does love equate to obligation? Can your loyalty to a pet overshadow responsibility to a stranger? As you disentangle your emotions, the lines blur profoundly, each choice tethered to a universe of possible repercussions. Breathe deep, let it weave through your very core. Sit with this query, allowing the turmoil of choice to course through you, knowing all faces of love crystallize differently, and the void stares back. You can disguise yourself as the enemy to save thousands, but you'll be hated forever. What do you do? What if saving countless lives meant wearing the mask of the very monster you abhor? Imagine the world teetering on the brink, a precipice of despair hanging in the air. One life, twisted in deception, could mean salvation for many. But in this misnomer of altruism, who pays the price? Your own soul's reflection. The paradox is glaring. Salvation through treachery. You cloak yourself in the fabric of the enemy, stepping into their shoes while swapping your identity for their sins. They may see you as a soldier of their cause, yet inside you are only a mercenary of conscience, aware of the blood on your hands. Here lies the fracture, complicity versus moral standing. Are we defined by our actions or by our intentions? Consider Victor Hugo's Les Miserables. Jean Valjean steals a loaf of bread to feed his starving family. A life for a life, one could argue. Yet that very act defines him as a criminal, a man hunted. In the shadows of nobility, how easily can one descend into the darkness? And the more you push forward, the more you risk your humanity. What if, to save thousands, you must be reviled? To dwell in their disdain, forever labeled as a traitor while you bore the weight of their lives on your shoulders? The emotional payload is heavy. The heart aches not for recognition, but for connection. Here, the essence becomes clear. Can we save others and still claim our own identity? Yet consider this. Saving lives by pretending to be someone you are not might not only change the course of history. You not only don a mask, you lose parts of your essence. There lies the gaping void. As Kafka said, a first sign of the beginning of knowledge is the erasure of one's own experience. The act of saving becomes a double-edged sword. In the stillness of night, the question lingers. Can altruism exist in a facade? What of your own soul when the act becomes the end? Beneath that intricate disguise lies the reminder that vulnerability thrives in truth. You save bodies, but at what cost to your spirit? But here's the catch. Within every unmasked flame of hatred lies a spark of understanding. Would saving lives justify embracing the contempt of the masses? Can the heart withstand the pressure of deception, knowing it could save countless or lead you down the path of isolation? And so, you must sit with this. You could erase a trauma from your mind, but you'd lose who it made you. What's your choice? Imagine holding a pill, a magical capsule that promises respite from the haunting embrace of your past. Every wound, every scar, a tormentor reduced to mere memory. How sweet the relief. Yet, what lurks beneath the surface of this unassuming escape? The paradox sits heavy. Can we erase the wounds without altering the very substance of who we are? Think of post-traumatic growth. The idea that from the ashes of suffering, a stronger self can emerge. What if trauma is an unwitting sculptor, not just a destroyer? If you smooth the edges of pain, do you eradicate potential, resilience, and insight? Consider a butterfly emerging from a chrysalis. It needs the struggle to unfurl its wings, to embrace the fullness of existence. The cognitive jewel here lies in the psychology of trauma. Studies show that confronting it can lead to profound personal growth. This knowledge disturbs the allure of erasure. Do we wish to live as shadows of ourselves, untested and unbroken? But here's the catch. In the act of erasing, you may obliterate the very essence that has shaped you. The laughter, the wisdom, the unfathomable compassion that burgeons from survival. Can these be merely discarded? And when the void stares back, what reflection will emerge in that empty facade? Yet, let us not forget the weight of anguish. The mind feels like a battlefield, each thought a relic of the past. In the cacophony of memories, each one still echoes. Is relief too steep a price to pay for the freedom from that anguish? Now, we coil back to the serpent's whisper. Sitting with the trauma means embracing the entirety of our existence, the good, the bad, the beautiful, the unbearable. Can one truly choose to embody freedom without the chains of past hurts? And so, I ask you, would you sacrifice patches of your very identity for the sweet promise of forgetfulness? Or do you choose to bear the weight of memories that have shaped you, raw and exposed? A killer asks for help to change. Do you offer it or walk away? When the spectre of a killer stands before you, stripped of identity, bare in their plea for redemption, what stirs within? The heart quivers. A question stings. Am I the savior or the fool? Picture this: a life punctuated by violence, a tapestry woven with pain. Yet here lies the paradox of humanity's nature. Change is not a mere flick of a switch, but a tempestuous journey. Is it not a treacherous path one walks, seeking redemption in the midst of chaos? We grapple with contrasting forces, the instinct to flee from danger and the yearning for connection that binds us to others. But here's the twist. Each of us contains shadows of darkness, a capacity for redemption that sighs in silence. What if, by extending a hand, you could illuminate the unseen potential for change? You invoke the idea of empathy. Historically, figures like Mahatma Gandhi championed the notion of forgiveness, illuminating the dissonance between harm and reconciliation. Yet consider the emotional burden. To acknowledge the depths of sorrow within them could redefine you. In choosing to see, you embrace complexity. Your own safety may hang in the balance. Do you risk exposure for the mere hope that they might find a way to atone? But what if you choose to walk away? In refusal lies isolation, a casting off of the possibility that perhaps humanity might flourish in rehabilitated hearts. In the heat of the moment, doubts will ignite, one torn between self-preservation and the audacity of empathy. The haunting echo persists. In rejecting the plea, you shun your role in the collective tapestry of existence. How often do we ignore our own whispers of stained humanity? And thus, you are compelled to sit with this. The kindest person you know is unknowingly harming hundreds. What do you do? Imagine the gentlest touch, a warm smile, a figure who embodies kindness yet sows seeds of harm unintentionally. How do you reconcile the beauty of intent with the horror of consequence? The contradiction breathes life into this moral dilemma. Altruism intertwined with unforeseen devastation. Here lies a stark truth. Good intentions pave a treacherous road. What does it mean to be benevolent when the ripples of your actions drown countless others? In exploring this tension, consider the illuminating gem from history. the Dunning-Kruger effect, which explains how those with limited knowledge often overestimate their competence. An innocuous mask, perhaps, crafted by the hands of ignorance. Can a heart fueled by love still inflict suffering? But here's where the shadows deepen. By confronting this reality, do you risk shattering their perceived benevolence? The heart trembles with the weight of these revelations. The question arises, is it friend or foe to unveil the truth? The paradox of responsibility lies heavy. Do you sacrifice a bond to protect countless unnamed others? Yet, do we dare judge the heart's intent when complexity tinges the air? The universe consists of shades, a kaleidoscope of intricacies that challenge the very notion of morality. To recognize that kindness can cast shadows is to embrace the full spectrum of humanity. In the quiet, a decision brews. How do we navigate the murky waters of confronting a friend while befriending uncertainty? Can you choose between loyalty and accountability? As you ponder this, you must sit with these pulsing truths and the delicate dance between harm and compassion, waiting for an answer that may never arrive. A secret that could change everything, but no one will ever trust you again. What is the price of truth? What lies buried beneath our desire for connection? The burden of a secret, heavy, presses against the fragile fabric of our lives. Release it, and the delicate balance shatters. With every truth comes a liar, with every trust, a fracture. Imagine holding a key. It opens a door, yet that door leads to ruin. To unveil a hidden reality means to cloak your identity in the shadows of betrayal. Maybe this secret, this knowledge, was never yours to bear. The burden can consume you, suffocate your being. What if I tell? You can almost taste the bitterness, a long-lost friendship, a family torn apart at the seams of loyalty. In the pursuit of honesty, you feel the phantom whispers of those who shield the truth. History tells us of Socrates, an advocate of truth, yet confronted with mortality for his unyielding conscience. The rich tapestry of human relationships shows us the fragility of trust. Here lies the paradox. Truth may liberate, yet it can imprison the heart. What becomes of you? A solitary figure on the fringes of belonging. And yet, isn't the lie dressed in comfort alluring? You wear it like a second skin, molding your reality around it. A semblance of peace prevails. The relationships remain intact, but at what cost? Etiquette seduces you, whispering, protect, guard, conceal. But the festering of unspoken knowledge twists the mind into knots. What if the world thrived on deception? Amidst the chaos of honesty and falsehood, can you ever truly claim a solid ground? As you wrestle with the decision, sit with this. Every lie has its dawn, every truth its dusk. The strands of connection unravel, frayed threads at the edges, tied not by authenticity, but by fear. What of the innocent, the lives predicted, the relationships hedged on deceit, truly live in that tension? Can embracing the chasm of honest revelation mend this distance? Or does lighting the way ignite the pyre of despair? So, you stand there, paralyzed. Truth, such a fragile pact, a mere whisper now drumming against the walls of your mind. You'll gain clarity, yes, but lose the love entrenched in your lies. Your heart wrestles with this historical weight. What becomes of you, the purveyor of such a hurtful honesty? And then there it is, the void, ready to swallow you whole. The answer remains painfully inchoate. As you clutch onto the key, you stare into that abyss, questioning the fabric of who you are. You must choose who to forget, the love of your life or your child. A paradox of the heart, the impossible choice, love or lineage. Is our identity shaped by the shadows we cast upon those we cherish? The pulse quickens with each fleeting thought. A visceral dissonance encapsulates you. What if memory is an anchor and a chain, a cruel tether binding affection and regret. Who would you erase, the laughter of sweet connection or the innocent spark of potential? Both lives coloured in your heart's canvas, yet the brush strokes clash in vibrant discord, begging for resolution. Consider being thrust into this dilemma. The love of your life, adventure, passion, comfort, imbued with the warmth of human connection. They created the us, a kaleidoscope of shared dreams. In contrast, your child embodies hope, the future birthed from your being. They scream for you with innocent eyes. Each option feels like ripping flesh from bone. Philosopher Martin Heidegger once suggested that to be is to be interpreted. In this kaleidoscope of existence, do we cling to the memories that mold us, or do we let them fall away like autumn leaves? What if forgetting your child means erasing fragments of the past, creating a void where innocence once thrived? The intensity binds. It spirals outward, leaving you gasping, a ledger of choices hanging before you. Every moment spent with one screams betrayal toward the other. Emotional chaos looms, an existential abyss. What if the love you surrender cascades into an endless chasm of grief? Yet, the child, so pure, so untainted, what price do you pay to silence their joy for a phantom of romance? In the intricate weave of memory, every connection becomes a scar, each choice a burden. And yet, a question rises amid this tempest. Can one truly live after such an erasure? What becomes of love if it is stripped from the tapestry of existence? As you grapple with this haunting choice, the void circles, tightening its grip. No matter the decision taken, shadows will whisper through the corridors of your mind. Leave a heartbroken memory, or murmur away the essence of future dreams. But as you teeter on the precipice, know this. In forgetting, you may lose yourself entirely. But your clone commits a crime. Who gets punished? A chilling mirror reflects back at us, an echo of choices in our own visage. You witness the crime, yet the culprit wears your face. A fractal of identity blurs along the edges, demanding the impossible question: who bears the weight of consequence? What is essence when you find yourself fragmented into dueling selves? A clone, a replication of your very being, but is its autonomy woven from your marrow? Society brands every individual, a canvas of guilt, blame, and responsibility, and now echoes back, asking whose hands are stained. Let's wander through consciousness itself. The ancient philosopher Descartes once pondered, "I think, therefore I am," a declaration steeped in the suffering of individual identity. Yet here you stand, stripped of that certainty. Is the deed the direct result of your conscious decisions, or merely a spectral reflection of your will? The answer spins enigmatically in the void. Each moment, the clone steps closer to the abyss, bearing witness to decisions devoid of context. Where does this rejection of culpability lie? In guilt's hurricane, are you condemned to bear what was never yours to own, displaced in a mist of creation? What if the hands you are forced to raise in judgment reflect your own fear? If you embrace the concept of shared existence, the weight of reality grows heavier still. What if the clone leads a life buried deeply in the roots of your own desires? By punishing it, do you strike a blow at the core of your soul's connection? Consequences ripple outward, like the very fabric of a universe, unraveling the intention behind the act, transforming it into a chaotic dance of remorse. Perhaps it is easier to gaze through the lens of blame, projecting the burden elsewhere. But would it not ultimately fracture you, this denial of truth that binds you both? As you wrestle, the void beckons. You summon specters of compassion and justice. What would you do? An intricate web of morality entangles. Choice becomes indistinguishable from consequence, and now you are lost in the chasm of perception. Will you recognize yourself? The flame flickering in the dark. The profound mystery of the self unfolds like petals in an undying garden. And therein lies the haunting truth. Who are you, if not the actions you claim? You can save one life per day, but you'll age twice as fast. Would you accept this superpower? Power, intoxicating. What if you could reshape fate with a singular touch? One life per day, a candle lit against the encroaching dark, but at the steep price of your own years. Here lies the paradox entangled in the fabric of choice. Imagine the thrill, a chance to rewrite destiny, a chance to breathe life into the flickering flames of existence. The miracle rests within your grasp. Yet, the invisible hand of consequence weighs heavily, each act siphoning away the vitality of your essence. What must you sacrifice in the pursuit of salvation? Consider the anguished cries of those whose lives hang in the balance, each day a different soul drawn to the precipice. Yet, as the choice unfurls before you, could sheer desperation overshadow the blessings of life? Your life wanes as each deed repairs the fabric of survival, an entangled web of kindness and sacrifice. The ancient Greek philosopher Epicurus saw pleasure as the root of happiness. But what of the pain? The philosophical scale trembles as every act of saving life paradoxically condemns yours. Aging accelerates like a ticking clock echoing in your ears, a relentless hammer on the anvil of time itself. While you nurse that flickering flame, the ghosts of the past yearn for your touch. What then of the miracles witnessed? The laughter of children, the anguish of the dying, each decision weaves a tale of bittersweet import. As you explore this moral terrain, do you choose to cling to the thread of your own existence amidst an indigo twilight of sacrifice? Is the sanctity of life worth the slow erosion of your own? Each day becomes a desperate battle, drawing you closer to demise. Can salvation coexist with grief, the burden of knowing the cost? Or does it blur the lines of purpose, leading to an abyss where hope withers as swiftly as flesh? Grief compresses against your chest, a kaleidoscope of mortality. The horrifying truth weighs upon you. Every heartbeat stolen from your finality gifts another life. Time oscillates like an untamed river, rushing forward, dragging you deeper into the unknown. As you stand at this crucible of choice, the air tightens around you. A silent scream echoes, and reality collapses inward. And in that moment, you reckon with a haunting truth. To save one is to unravel another's journey, even your own. You are wrongfully convicted. You are wrongly convicted. A foreigner is paying the price for a crime they didn't commit. By saving them, you ruin your career. A paradox lies here. Does one life count less than reputation? What is justice if it thrives on the innocent suffering? The seed is sown, the dissonance between moral obligation and self-interest. We navigate a world where truths blur, demands clash, and decisions weigh heavier than the very hearts that bear them. The machinery of justice sometimes grinds those unseen in its pursuit of order. Yet, what is this order? A pursuit of the greater good, or merely our self-image, polished and protected? Imagine a mirror reflecting a life saved, yet tarnishing your own existence. Intangible, misplaced. And herein lies the question: what if the act of saving someone's freedom collapses your own? Every choice intertwines lives, creating threads of consequence that weave through society's fabric. Ethical dilemmas do not come with clear resolutions. They emerge from the blurred lines of right and wrong. Psychological research reveals a profound insight. Cognitive dissonance can physically manifest, causing emotional strain when our actions contradict our beliefs. Can we truly live with ourselves if we choose silence and complicity? Or are we agents of truth merely ensnared by fear of the ripples our actions may create? But here's the catch. It isn't just about justice, isn't just about one's career. It's also about humanity. The foreigner's silent scream echoes in the chambers of guilt. To choose injustice is to deny our shared essence. to slip into apathy's armchair where cries for help dissolve into the background noise of self-preservation? Would you trade your piece of truth for a ghost of happiness? And yet, as the clock ticks, unraveling the fibers of time, questions loom. What becomes of you in the aftermath? Whose lives do you carry into your silence? The plea hangs in the air. Save a life or shackle your conscience. What a heavy cross to bear. What if the consequence of your choice ripples into eternity, a butterfly's wings creating storms unbeknownst to you? And as your career falters, will the satisfaction of your choice soothe or haunt your nights? Sit with this. And the void stares back. You have proof of an affair. You have proof of an affair. To reveal it is to hold the flames of truth in one hand and a happy family in the other. The paradox blares. What fosters happiness, ignorance, or honesty? The emotional turmoil swells, tingling in every nerve. Do you risk destruction for the sake of authenticity? Here lies the seed of reality. Truths sometimes crumble entire worlds. Envision the family, united under a fragile illusion, a delicate glass dome encapsulating love, trust, and joy. A small crack becomes the fissure leading to chaos. Is it not our nature to cling to the known, even if it teeters on deceit? An affair shakes the ground beneath. What bedrock remains? Human beings are woven from threads of trust and vulnerability. A psychological truth echoes. People hold on to illusions, believing they serve as shields against pain. Yet ultimately, they become gilded cages. By protecting another's facade, you don't just shield them, you burden yourself with the knowledge of their betrayal. Ensnared in this ethical quagmire, will you violate their sanctum, risking heartache across the board? But here's the catch. This isn't just about one relationship. It ripples into the fabric of your existence. Will the weight of holding this truth cultivate strength or foster decay? Might the cracks in your conscience lead to hidden shadows of guilt that seep into your own life? What if silence breeds more destruction than honesty? The apparent security of lies can germinate mistrust, a slow poison within the happiest of homes. Is your moment of truth worth the inevitable storm? What beautiful lives might shatter, and yet what honesty could bloom anew? At what point does your fear eclipse your moral obligation? The choice stands before you, slick with uncertainty. You may salvage happiness, but at what cost? And the void stares back. Your truth could destroy a fragile person. Your truth could destroy a fragile person. Do you speak it? The weight of a single statement carries immeasurable gravity, a trembling tightrope strung between compassion and honesty. The paradox lies in the fragility of existence. How are we authors of our narratives when our words wield such power? The seed nestled here. The truth is often more punishable than falsehood. In the theatre of life, every character wears masks. What lies behind them can morph joy into despair in one swift utterance. Psychological evidence suggests that delivering harsh truths can cause trauma, a rupture that sparks lifelong scars. Is it not easier to conceal and nurture innocence than to expose vulnerability and risk obliteration? We tread through the world laden with the echo of truths unsaid, caught in the paradox of protecting the fragile. Yet, lies weave no safety nets. They unravel under scrutiny. But here's the catch. Every truth harbors an inner beauty, an essence waiting to be liberated. The act of revelation kindles growth, yes, no matter how painful. Is your desire to protect an affirmation of love or an insidious form of control? What justifies silence in the name of compassion when it curtails authentic connection? And yet, here you are, caught in this web of choices. Consider the fear that paralyzes the breath in your lungs. One word can tilt destiny toward despair or liberation. Maybe the fragile need the truth more than they fear its sharp edge. Perhaps the beauty lies in vulnerability, the undeniable reality that exposes us, offers redemption. As the echoes reverberate, can you bear to hold this truth? The tension weighs heavy, pressing down on clenched fists. Each moment drags out like an eternity, where one declaration could trigger a flood of sorrow. Sit with this, and the void stares back. A world without lies might be fairer, or unbearable. A world without lies might be fairer, or unbearable. The thought circles, spiraling like smoke through the mind. Can we picture it? Honesty reigning supreme, yet in its brightness lies an unsettling shadow. Unfettered truths may strip away layers of comfort that ignorance provides. Here burgeons the seed. Can the human heart withstand a culture inundated with utter transparency? We inhabit a landscape draped in half-truths and white lies, gossamer threads connecting our stories, preserving bonds carved through time. The allure of comfort shimmers enticingly, yet it's a brittle shield against the harshness of reality. Human psychology reveals an unsettling truth. Constant exposure to unvarnished truths may breed anxiety, paralyzing us with the weight of existence. But here's the catch. The brighter the light, the darker the shadows become. In a realm stripped of artifice, would we flounder, ensnared by our naked selves? We may hope for a fairer world, yet yearn for the soft embrace of comforting lies. What happens to empathy, to the instinct of compassion, when brutal honesty severs our tender connections? The edges blur, fairness comes at a cost. Can we reconcile this paradox? To embrace a realm without deception could free us, and yet, do we risk our core essence for an ideal that may shatter our beings? Is the truth a double-edged sword, or merely a reflection of what is outside? And therein lies the tension. To long for fairness is to wade into the unknown abyss of humanity's fragility. Would our perceptions of reality morph into something unrecognizable, unbearable, stripped of gentleness? Sit with this, and the void stares back. You could die in place of 1,000 strangers. Would you do it? Sacrifice or survival, a choice cloaked in paradox. Imagine a world tipping on the precipice of annihilation. You, one life, and life itself hangs in the balance. But here's the catch. You could step forward, offer yourself willingly. A martyr for the many, draped in virtue, yet the darkness of your death ripples through existence. What does it mean to live if your life's value is a mere currency for countless others? The heart races, the mind falters, drowning in an existential whirlpool. If you die, will you validate your brief existence, or will the void swallow your nobility whole? It's a heart-stopping truth. You are not central. Your life diminishes against the backdrop of 1,000 souls. But is there peace in that relinquishment? The brutal irony we face is that to save, the highest aspiration, might well lead us into the abyss. Maybe the true tragedy isn't in the act of giving, but in the loss of being remembered. And yet, consider the historical echoes, the selfless acts during the Holocaust, where individuals perished for the sake of others, serve as tragic testaments. Their resonating choice challenges us. Is saving lives worth the erasure of your own? To be a hero, you must first confront the weight of your own insignificance. A question reverberates in the silence. Would the survivors even recall your name? Would you be a shadow, a mere ghost marking the territory of their salvation? Confront this. Does offering your life fulfill an innate human drive toward meaning? Or is it merely an illusion crafted by wishful thinking? Do acts of valor elevate the soul, or merely tether it to greater despair? You tread in the realm of the undying paradox. For every act of selflessness, there lingers the chaos of moral debt, an existential loop where the giver bears the burden of pain, even beyond death. So you stand at this precipice, hearing a distant echo of humanity calling out. What if one life making the ultimate sacrifice pits it against 1,000 lives continuing in ignorance of your deed? Could you save the world only by embracing your own erasure, or would you bend beneath the weight and choose to live? selfishly protecting your singular flicker of existence. And maybe upon choosing, you grasp that the choice itself is the true paradox, entangled in a web of moral ambiguity. One cannot simply trade life for life, choice for choice without reflecting. Who are you in doing so? What echoes return when the scales tip? And in this haunting resonance, the void beckons. The question lingers, unresolved. Would you hold the knife to your own throat for the sake of 1,000 strangers? You save humanity, but you can never tell anyone. The burden of truth weighs heavy when salvation dances on the edge of silence. Imagine the world, ripe for destruction, beckoning an unsung hero, an elephant in the room of existence. What if, in devoted secrecy, you possess the key to salvation, the catch? The noblest act, robbing the ego of affirmation, wraps humanity in a shroud of unknowing. The mind races, dissecting the layers of moral quandary, the reverberating echoes of history whispering. How many times have truths been buried, lives preserved at the cost of recognition? Silence, in its cruel irony, transforms valor into anonymity. To walk the high road without the faintest trace of your footprints speaks to the sublime chaos of human existence. A wise philosopher, Nietzsche, once said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." But what of the why when stripped of recognition? Beyond rationality lies the suffocating question: does it matter if no one knows? Knowing the price you pay for humanity's future is to, in essence, drive a wedge into the heart of your existence. Can identity be shaped without the acknowledgement of contribution? The last echoes of significance whisper relentlessly in your mind, mocking the essence of sacrifice. Yet the paradox blooms. Does unrecognized sacrifice heighten the purity of the act? Each selfless breath becomes a whispered ghost in the chambers of history, a sacrifice untethered from the chains of ego. You save nations, yet wear the mask of invisibility. Yet still your soul rejoices in the unheralded. You choose the anonymity of the celestial plotter. History might forget your name, but the ripples of your act alter the flow of fate. And yet, the tension builds, asking whether the silent act becomes pride's end or liberation's dawn. To be without praise means stepping into an abyss where validation resides beneath layers of desperation. But therein lies freedom, the timeless truth that genuine altruism rests in the absence of ego, transcending the need for a legacy. So, what lingers after the final act? Can humanity stand in the glow of truth unspoken? Or does it collapse, echoing through time, the silence a haunting spectre? Beyond this silence, the truth remains ungrasped. What if, in the end, the greatest gift you could offer was the discomfort of your anonymity wrapped in careful silence? And still, the echo lingers. Would you save humanity without a soul to remember? You can erase all your wrongdoings from everyone's memory, but you'll forget who you've become. What if you could cleanse the slate, to wipe the memory of transgressions with a flick of a switch, like an artist erasing brushstrokes on an unwieldy canvas? The world's weight lifted, yet you stand before the abyss of self-forgetfulness. What does it mean to be stripped of the very fabric of your being? The tender paradox needles at your essence. To erase is to disengage. With each wrong, a lesson flourishes, crucial markers of identity etched into the annals of experience. The historical journey of humanity swells with tales of redemption, where flawed actors emerge stronger. Erase those flaws, and who are you left to be? A blank slate? An empty echo in an abyss of recollection? But here's the catch. Memory is a mosaic. Damage adds depth, inflicts beauty and scars, sharpening awareness. To forget your missteps is to float adrift in a sea where meaning becomes a mirage, an eternal search for something lost within. The philosopher Kierkegaard once said, "Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards." When shall you find yourself if the lessons are lost in the shadows of oblivion? The question spirals. Does the act of erasure liberate or imprison you within a facade of falsehood? It is in the very essence of pain that one finds birth. Identity shapes itself from the crucible of struggle. Abandon transparency. Will you trap yourself in a gilded cage or stand resolute and embrace the battle? This moral tightrope beckons. What do you trade in the tireless pursuit of this freedom? Every decision is an existential crossroad, begging you to ponder if the ghosts trailing you are perhaps the architects of your greatness. Their whispers remind you of lessons learned in darkness, sculpting resilience and compassion. In the grand design, will you hold on to your flawed narrative for the sake of truth? Or will the allure of a clean slate plunge you into chaos, cast adrift without a compass? The answer could be buried beneath the weight of what it means to be human, where complexities and contradictions intertwine. And here, the ultimate question reverberates. In your desire to forget, would you abandon the beautiful, jagged edges of your soul? A terrorist is about to kill thousands. Torturing him might stop it. Do you cross that line? The ticking clock pounds in unison with morality's heartbeat. Rescue or ruin? If hesitation breeds catastrophe, where does humanity stand as you stare into the abyss of ethical atrocity? To engage in brutality shatters the dials of your very spirit. What defines the wrong side of this harrowing choice? The warrants of violence raise haunting reflections. In history, power birthed by blood has crowned tyrants and fascists, where innocent intentions dissolve into chaos. Are you then justified in creating a monster to stop one? But remember, the act of becoming the devil to conquer the devil leaves the soul eternally stained. Each stroke of cruelty paints your character in shades of despair. And yet in this moment, consider the paradox that lies behind this agonizing choice. Torture yields information, they say, but often it births deceit instead. Fear bends the truth, revealing only what the torturer wishes to unearth. What's an easier question haunting your morality? Can violence seed any form of righteousness, or will it merely replicate cycles of despair? Philosopher Hannah Arendt, in her Reflections on Evil, cautioned against the banality that masks monstrosities. The mind wrestles, by wielding the thorned dagger to smite terror. Are you undermining the very fabric of humanity that defines the collective will to live? Is the fight against evil to sink into its shadows, emerging as a spectre of guilt? As you hover over this precipice, reflecting within the myriad layers of ethical consideration, the question remains echoing in the recesses of a trembling heart. Can good truly arise from actions drenched in malice? So many souls dance in the crossfire, and any moment you hesitate weighs like lead on a sinking heart. The tension is palpable, and those ticking seconds echo louder with every tick. There too lies the answer. To cross that line births an ever-looming consequence. Do you stand in the world hoping you can erase the lines of your own making? Or will you hold steadfast, even as the world burns in the wake of the callousness you refuse to embrace? And thus, the haunting remains, echoing endlessly. Would you commit darkness to extinguish evil? You can become a billionaire, but only by wiping out an entire country. Do you push the button? What is the price of ambition? Each choice we make is a ledger of consequences, an unblinking witness of our morality. But here's the catch. What if that ledger demands blood? To gain unimaginable wealth, a gilded cage, one must destroy a nation. Is this the true measure of success, or merely an invitation to despair? Imagine the echoes of 1,000,000 dreams extinguished in the blink of an eye. Consider the families and futures obliterated, stripped of their humanity for the sake of a currency that ultimately holds no value. A staggering paradox emerges. In pursuing prosperity, could generosity become our greatest sin? The moment we elevate one life above another veers us into the realm of ethical insanity. We are left to ponder a single, jarring question. Who defines worth? Imagine that wealth isn't just an abstract notion, but a heavy cloak that binds us to a history of decisions, a net woven with threads of suffering and sacrifice. History reveals a troubling fact. Human consciousness has often accompanied the birth of great empires with the blood of innocence. Would you carry that legacy, knowing the cost? And yet, what if the power to topple mountains and uplift lives lies within that very choice? As we weigh our options, the gravity of our decision manifests its form, an emotional payload that presses down upon the chest. Is the adrenaline of ambition worth the silence of countless lives? When we hesitate at the precipice, are we safeguarding our own humanity, or merely indulging an illusion of moral high ground? We teeter on a knife's edge, gazing into the unquantifiable void of our decisions. It's a riddle couched in paradox. Does wealth equate to power, or does power corrupt the essence of wealth? The shining dollar bills beckon like sirens, promising freedom while anchoring a heart to a tumultuous abyss. There lies the dilemma, an abyss that holds no answers, only unresolved questions that linger. What if, in our quest to achieve greatness, we become the architects of devastation? And then, in the hush that follows, the heart still echoes with one lingering thought. If a single button could reshape destiny, who are we to press it? A great artist is about to take their own life. Their pain creates works that save others. Do you intervene? Art is born from duality, joy intertwined with despair, beauty reflecting anguish. A creator stands at a precipice, a tumultuous tempest of pain, overshadowed by swirling thoughts of self-destruction, and yet they have illuminated the path for others, transforming suffering into transcendent beauty. But here's the catch. Do we risk the sanctity of art for the preservation of life? A haunting truth whispers in the silence, echoing through the corridors of history. Is suffering a necessary prelude to profound creativity? Think of Van Gogh, his swirling skies echoing his madness, or Sylvia Plath, her haunting verses encapsulating a soul poised on the knife's edge of reality. Do we dare intervene, potentially extinguishing that creative flame? To save the artist is to confront a deeper question. What becomes of the art, the whispers of humanity, when pain is silenced? What if intervening meant relinquishing the world's access to their brilliance? Every stroke of paint, every word etched, resonates in the hearts of countless souls. Consider the lives irrevocably touched by this tortured genius. The paradox emerges once again. In saving one, do we condemn many to mediocrity? As the shadows of despair loom large, we confront our moral compass. 1,000 unspoken fears dance in the margins of our awareness. It becomes an unbearable weight. Who are we to determine the value of art and its progenitor? Are we saviors, or merely custodians of a fragility that demands tribute? The tension rises. Silence envelops the room. Do we stand aside, allowing fate to carve its cruel path, or rush in, waving the torch of salvation? Yet, in the end, we find ourselves faced with an unspeakable release. Can we embrace the chaos, the paradox of creation and destruction, woven into the very essence of existence? And so we ask, is it our place to intervene, or to let suffering bloom into artifacts that speak, long after the artist's voice has silenced? You can know the future precisely, but you'll lose all freedom of choice. Do you want to know? What does it mean to grasp the threads of fate in one's hand? Imagine standing at the crossroads of time, with the future laid bare. But here's the catch. To know is to surrender. Choice is the very essence of existence, and with knowledge comes the shattering of freedom. Would you alter the course of your life for the illusion of control? Consider the paradox inherent in foresight. History unfurls tales of visionaries, prophets, clairvoyants, whose glimpses of the future offered society a roadmap. But at what cost? Think of Cassandra, whose foresight was a curse, a blessing that bore the anguish of being unheard, yet knowing all too well what was to come. In the depths of such knowledge lies a haunting realization. To predict the future necessitates relinquishing the present. Imagine the cascading weight of inevitability hovering above every decision, the tremor of anxiety. Decisions become automata, a series of calculated moves dictated by prophecy instead of passion. What if every impulse to deviate from your predetermined path vanished? The freedom to choose, to err, fades into an oppressive sameness. As we step closer to this illuminated truth, a haunting question remains. Would the shimmer of insight justify the loss of spontaneity, of savoring the unpredictable beauty of life? Daring to peer into a future devoid of surprises beckons us to imagine a world mechanized, a chessboard of human lives reduced to a series of calculations. Is predictability worth the price, or does it strip life of its meaning altogether? The tension swells, an unsettling symphony orchestrated by our desire to know. And so we must sit with this. Are we the authors of our own narrative, or mere spectators shackled by knowing too much? True love will appear if you agree to live with a lie forever. Do you choose truth or feeling? Love is a veil of bliss, a tapestry tailored with threads of desire and deception. Here lies a sprawling paradox. Would you choose a tender illusion over a painful reality? The heart races, caught in the collision of truth and longing. Imagine standing before the mirror of existence, gazing at a reflection that underscores every flaw. A whispered promise beckons, offering solace from the burdens of authenticity, a love that cradles you, but underpinned by a lie. The light of joy dances around you, but shadows flicker in the corners of consciousness. Is this the true essence of love, or merely a mirage? What if the essence of life demands that we navigate this treacherous terrain? The history of humanity reveals this truth. Many have donned masks to protect their inner selves, seeking solace in constructs that mimic intimacy. Consider the fables spun throughout time, where characters endure the pains of existence, often choosing what feels right over what is true. Yet, the heart trembles beneath the weight of disillusionment. Would you continue to fill the void with illusion, or embrace the scars that define a genuine connection? To grasp love beneath the shroud of deceit confronts us with an unsettling choice. Which is worse, the stark reality of solitude, or the serene numbness of fabricated euphoria? In the silent aftermath, we are left with unresolved longing. Can we truly love if it is built upon falsehood? What legacy does such a choice create? One of eternal bliss, or unyielding despair? And yet the swirling question remains. Would you choose the comfort of fleeting happiness, knowing it is woven with falsehood, or the tumult of truth that may shatter your very heart?